Welcome to our June edition of Let's Get Growing. It's starting to heat up in the landscape, and I know I've told you before, but it's time for us to heat it up too, so we can get ahead of the heat. All right, in June, as I said, many things to do in the landscape, but let's start out by mowing at least once a week. And as those night temperatures get warmer, you need to raise the height on your mower. Now, we have a big long list here of plants that you can grow from seed and save a little bit of money. So not always necessary to go out and buy a 4-inch or a jumbo pack of annuals when you can throw a package of seeds out. But remember, you can still plant spider lily bulbs. They're not seeds, but you'll get a great impact for Easter, and not only Easter, but think about this fall, around Christmas time. So when we talk about hand watering, you only hand water the dry spots, your annuals, and also your newly planted areas. We've talked about mulch before, and it's time to mulch again. All those newly planted areas, any bare spots. In addition, make sure that you get those roses mulched. Now in June, you know that your trees are going to have grown and they'll be hanging over, and you might have a few hanging in the street and you're getting notices that you've got to prune them. Don't go crazy. You just need to lift them up a little bit and then take out any dead or diseased wood. Prune all your perennials right after they bloom. Shear your petunias, and then you'll have new blooms for them. Also in June, you do your second major fertilization of your lawn area, so make sure to use a 15-5-10 with sulfur-coated urea. Sulfur, read the label, it's on there. You're also going to want to fertilize all your planting areas, and you can use that same fertilizer you're using on your lawns, the 15-5-10 with sulfur, on those planting areas. But hold off on your azaleas, camellias, rhododendrons. Don't fertilize now, but fertilize all those other planting areas. Oh goodness gracious, many things to watch for in the landscape as far as insects go. You know that you probably have already seen powdery mildew on your roses, your crepe myrtles, and the photinia. And that's just going to look like a powdery substance on top of the leaves. You can just wash that off. But as soon as it's hot all the time and the humidity goes down, it's going to go away. Really no need to treat except to wash it off, and sometimes use some insecticidal soap. Watch for chinch bugs on the St. Augustine, and they're going to eat little areas on the top of the soil. And then you'd watch for grub worms. They're going to be under the soil eating the roots. How do we treat? You use milky spore, and that'll get rid of them, or diatomaceous earth for the chinch bugs. Pick it up at the feed store. Easy to use and can also kill fleas. And then in addition, you're going to want to watch for worms that are eating on your plants. Red spiders are going to start popping out. Let's get rid of them, and we can use water. And we've talked about worms, and what else can we get? Aphids. Here again, diatomaceous earth, insecticidal soap. All right, what we're going to do today is talk about container planting, and we're going to talk about compatibility. This is what we call mother-in-law's tongue, but its scientific name is sansevieria. This is a cactus, and I'm not sure the variety, but if you look, it trails. So what have I told you about containers? You've got to have a thriller, a filler, and a spiller. So this is going to be our filler around the edge and the spiller. I've picked this container because it has this upward movement, and so I'm going to mimic that with this plant material. Now I wanted to show you that right here you can see that this is how this makes little babies. So what you're going to do is sever this root, this big thick root right here, and then you'll move this one to a new container. I have this huge hole in the bottom of this container. And if I just put soil in, it's going to fall through. So, in order to eliminate that, I found this piece of bark. And it was in the soil, so I just take it and put it over the hole in the container, but not to where it covers it totally. If you look through it, you can see through it. So I know I'll get drainage. And so we're going to take this out of the container, and then very carefully, I'm going to sever it right here. And now I'm at 2. And then I can still see, it's a little wiggly right here. I can make 3, and look, we'll get 4. So now we know that we have plenty to hang over the container. Now then, we want to make sure that we put some soil in the bottom, and we don't want to plant them too deep. And notice that I'm barely packing the soil. I'm not cramming it in. Barely pack the soil. And then let's check the depth, because we're actually going to plant a little bit deeper so that they won't fall over. And we know that these are going to go in deeper than our cactus. Then I'm just bringing it up a little bit at a time. And now I'm adding soil as needed. And don't forget that these had a gap in the middle. So I have to make sure that I get a little soil in between them too. Look, it'll stand by itself. Now then, our filler spiller is going to go in. And we just dig out a little hole. And we're just going to have to work it around, slowly but surely. Dig it out. Push it in. And I push it into the soil, making sure that we've got it in there nice and firm. Voila! And we have the beautiful succulent plant that you have done for yourself. You have a container. And I'll tell you what, if you went out and bought this, it would cost you at least $30 or $40. So you just saved yourself a pretty penny by recycling a container and taking 2 plants and making a beautiful plant that you'll live with for years. Well, that's our June edition of Let's Get Growing. It's important that we get out there, stay on top of it, water when needed, fertilize to make new growth, and happy plants. And speaking of being happy, let's water when we need to, mulch, and you too will be happy because you won't be out in the landscape all the time.